No, never had chickens.
I had 9 at my house. I'm down to 1.
Yeah,
Fucking chicken.
I know. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's Windows.
Actually, my
Okay, guys, looks like we're right on time. This is the Washington Area Highway Transportation Committee meeting. It is Monday, March 28th, 2022. And the first item is the call to order.
Craig Miller. Ed Fisher.
Here.
Stephen O'Connor.
Here.
Ray Frankenberg.
Here.
Bob Ingeman.
Here.
Bill Stratman.
Here.
Mayor Lucy. Joe Holtmar.
Here.
Danny Cassette.
Here.
L.B. Eckelkamp. Bill Miller.
Here.
Tim Brinker. Steve Sullendrup.
Here.
John Noble.
here.
Please stand. Pledge allegiance. I indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, this great spring day.
Credit card out of there.
First item is always the approval of the previous month's meeting. Do I have any comments, suggestions, improvements, changes?
So moved.
I have a motion to approve as presented. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. First item, Amtrak.
I know.
You're always, Craig, you always get the top seat.
There you go. I don't have much of a report today. I heard some rumbling. So apparently they, looking at funding this year, which was equivalent funding they had last year. Their fiscal year starts in June. They're hoping to get that same budget approved, and rumor has it they're going to try to do those 2 trains when they get that budget approved. So we should see those back sometime soon. No word on new cars, and no word back yet from Union Pacific on questions about freight that we had. So that's what I have for today.
Yeah, they've been slow to put out any information about Amtrak, have they? Once they went down to 1 train.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments about that?
No, just one comment. I saw for about 4 or 5 days in a row, there was a train parked down there that appeared to be well over a mile long, just sitting there. It blocked a couple of the places on Front Street. I was wondering if anybody heard any complaints about that, and I was just wondering if there was a...
We did not.
Didn't I? Oh, good.
Is that one full of granite?
No, the ones full of granite are still there. I'm assuming that's for a project they've got coming up, that they've got it staged there waiting.
Yeah,
But they're pretty short. The other one was just tall, and I thought, well, it's odd. After the 3rd day of driving by it, I thought maybe somebody would have complained, but good.
we, the only complaints that we had about cars parked down there over the past couple of years when they had the ties. They were doing the big tie project. They were replacing all that creosote in the summertime. You could smell it. That was really about the only thing that we've ever had that I've ever received. So,
Good.
I would just add, Bill, Amtrak is looking to do some ADA upgrades around the actual depot itself. Wayne is kind of heading that up, the Parks Director, so we're working together on trying to get that coordinated. But we have a conference call coming up here in April to kind of discuss what that looks like. It looks like some new sidewalks between the depot and the fencing, maybe some new sidewalks, new parking stalls potentially to ensure ADA compliance, those type of things. So that actually plays out pretty well with our STP project of Front Street, which is in 2025. We can kind of coordinate those things. So you're going to see some pretty big upgrades on Front Street, and especially around that train depot.
Yeah, that's great. That's great that they're staying on top of it. Hearing nothing else, Highway 47 Missouri River Bridge.
I talked to the RE this morning, and he said they're looking at the river levels, trying to get a barge in to
Finish it up.
tweak that light system, and said he hopes to have it done within a month or 2. So that's the current. He said for the most part they work, but there's just a couple that need to be adjusted and fixed.
That's about a 2-year project, lighting.
It's been a long time, and he's frustrated, and I mean, we want to get it
At
fixed.
least he doesn't want his money.
Yeah,
We're working on it.
all right, all right. Highway 47 Corridor Committee. Mr. Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Highway 47 Corridor Committee was reorganized, called back to a meeting a couple of weeks ago. A lot of different items were discussed as far as possibility for funding and different avenues for that. It was suggested that before we proceed in any certain direction, we wait till MoDOT has their meeting in May. It's first week in May, and at that time they'll be making determinations how they want to spend going forward and let that information out. So with that, we have scheduled another meeting for the Corridor Committee, May 12th at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
And that's the status of it right now.
yeah, we're just kind of waiting. Anybody else have any comments regarding?
I got a question. The Union Bypass, is that considered part of the corridor, or is that a separate issue?
It is a separate issue in the discussion, and that's one of the next things I was going to talk about. The expressway and the roundabout, it's gone along now to where it's in right-of-way negotiations. Plans have been approved. April 13th, City of Union and Franklin County are having a public meeting at Union City Hall. That public meeting is, like I said, April 13th, 5:30 to 7. That's part of the process where the public is informed exactly what is going on.
Jim, real quick on that, and just Ray, just to clarify, even though it's a separate issue, it plays right into the overall plan. So it's a piece of the larger plan that was agreed upon with the alignment. Correct, Jim?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So Union's kind of heading that up.
It's the centerpiece, and the two legs going north and south are very integral to the complete overall.
That's the beginning of that final
Yes.
phase, both ends.
Any other questions?
I do.
Yes.
Sorry about
Go ahead.
something, but
No.
but this should pretty much catch me up. In the paper 2 weeks ago, I believe, there was something about roundabouts at the next two intersections north on Highway 47.
There was discussion regarding that. An engineer that was present brought that up, that he felt that perhaps we should consider a roundabout at Independence and another one at Highway V. And that was just thrown out there for consideration in the design phase. There was no real feedback or comments about that.
And that was not a MoDOT engineer, or was it a MoDOT?
No, it was not. It was a private engineer.
Very good.
Will that east leg have 4 lanes or just 2 lanes?
The design as it is now, it would be a 4-lane in each direction. Actually, 5 lanes, most of the direction, most distance. It'd be 5 lanes.
All right, thanks. Do they have an idea yet where they might put that bridge, the new bridge? Or will it require a new bridge?
The expressway will have a new bridge. That's all in the plans. It's been decided. That's why they're going through land acquisition now for the right-of-way for that.
Okay. Probably gotta be east.
It crosses the Burbas about 400 or 500 feet east of the existing Highway 50 bridge.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What's the plan for the train trestles going across there?
That is the one roadblock right in the middle of the project. That's still under consideration, exactly the best way to approach that. That's an expensive problem right in the middle. That's still in discussion at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
Oops, you got another, Steve?
I just got a comment. On 47 at I-44, we're going to replace the bridge deck. That's an upcoming project that we're
Okay.
going to start in about
See that?
a week. So 47 will be 2 lanes across that bridge. We're doing half of the bridge at a time. So there'll be detours that'll send you over to 30. So it's a pretty close detour, and I think we got it all worked out where it will be done as quickly as possible, but You know, it's something we need to do with that bridge deck. And after we get the 47 bridge deck completed in those 2 phases, then we'll close 30 and do the bridge deck on 30 over the interstate still this year, so.
You know, we get so wrapped up in our own area that we don't realize that, you know, Franklin County includes those areas out by the interstate.
Yeah, this is
And
all
there's
at
a
St.
lot of money,
Clair.
it looks like, going to be spent on the interstate system, between whatever,
Yeah, there's
in the future.
a lot of work to do down there.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to fast track it and get those 2 bridges completed this year.
Yeah, that's big item, big projects.
Bill, I have one more thing to add. In the paper a couple weeks ago, on the front page, it had that the city was applying for a 50/50 economic development grant that MoDOT has available basically any given year. What that project essentially was is we recognized that 4 lanes or 5 lanes, you know, to the south is all part of that project. Again, it's a piece of the overall picture. We recognize that the East-West Parkway is also part of this picture, right? So we city staff put together a grant application, and we're working with MoDOT on getting the required documents together to try to get that grant put up. We were trying to fast track that through April. We were unable to do that, so I think the next application time would be October. Again, that's a 50/50. If you don't have someone, I believe, tied to it from an economic development standpoint. So, for example, if there was an industry that would go in, that number could go up. But we are looking at the opportunity to apply for a 50/50 grant to kind of jumpstart it here from Washington moving south as well. City Council did pass a resolution in support of that at the last council meeting. So again, it all plays into us trying to do our part to work our way to the south and looking at every funding opportunity that we possibly can. In addition, it just provides another carrot. If some of these transportation funds start to break loose, we would say, hey, we have these applications in as well to try to make this thing look a little more shovel-ready. So that's kind of the strategy that we're working on. And again, we are not going to be able to make the April deadline, but we're told October would be the next one, and we will definitely be working with Stephen's area team to get that done.
Very good.
So,
That's exciting.
just I know that was in the paper, and that's kind of the overall thing is
Yeah, I was,
working with the county, working with everybody to try to jumpstart these things.
great. That's super, John. Keep that in motion. Anything else regarding the corridor committee, transportation committee, Franklin County Transportation Committee?
We did not have a quorum at the last meeting, so we did not meet. I don't know if that's looking to be rescheduled, but we'll keep you posted, so.
Well, the group met with MoDOT in the county about that meeting. John, were you there at that meeting?
Yes, and I think, was that the 47 corridor meeting that yeah, that's the one that we just talked about.
That's the
Yeah,
corridor.
yeah, and it was more discussion of, once the Union Expressway gets done, you know, kind of what's the next strategy, really? And that's kind of what spurred this 50/50 thing with Washington was, it's like, okay, what is the next strategy? How are we going to get this thing moving? Again, we felt that, you know, getting 4 lanes or essentially 5 lanes to the Parkway makes sense. Because again, that Parkway's been in our comprehensive plan forever.
Right.
And there'll be more things in this agenda to discuss on the Parkway. But, you know, trying to spur that and kind of look into the future when these monies maybe start to come in, so.
And then we briefly talked about the Parkway, you know, what, 2 meetings ago?
Yeah, I can hit on that.
How many years has that been on the drawing board?
Oh, from what I understand, it was talked about in the late 80s, and I think there was a plan put together in 94 or 96, something like that.
Yeah,
There, mid-80s.
yeah, yeah.
It
Good.
wasn't even more.
Amazing.
It wasn't even more.
Idea was right, yeah.
86.
Next item, Northeast District, Warren County. Wow. Causeway. Joe, anything? Anything new?
We're gonna meet here after
Yep.
the meeting.
Good, very good. Very
Yep.
good. Have you met the new man, Jeff Niemeyer?
Me, right here.
Oh, there's Jeff. Ah, good. Welcome.
hilarious.
Welcome. Very good. Very good. Good, very good. Well, welcome. You're an important part of the whole transportation system here on our side, getting more and more important as we go along. So anyway, we're anxious for your thoughts and comments, and jump right in whenever you feel like you've got something to say, so don't be bashful. All right, Jim, welcome. Jeff. Causeway, Joe, and you have nothing, Joe, then on the Causeway?
We-
Anything new?
We're going to meet after this
You're gonna
meeting,
meet after-
Joe
all right.
and the city, about what the best plan is.
Very good.
What we're looking is a causeway is obviously concept number one. Are there other alternatives
Whatever.
that maybe would be less costly or even more beneficial? You know, a causeway obviously gets traffic moving, but is there other solutions maybe that have other
Yes.
benefits? So,
Very good. Good thinking. Special Road District, Edward?
We're working on South Point Road, and it appears like there's a 40-foot easement, and then a 30-foot easement, then a 40-foot easement. And what they're working on is trying to get a 40-foot all the way.
Yeah.
And so, see how the people agree with that, you know. It's kind of where it's at.
All right, very good. Growth.
the city, and we've been working pretty closely with the Special Road District. We're excited about that. We also have we have a water line that's getting extended to the new water tank at North Goods Mill. So I'll be working with them we're going to cut that pipe in at some point this spring, and I'll make sure I coordinate that with Ed and these guys. But we want to get that work done before the paving gets done.
Yeah.
We don't, that's the biggest thing, is we want to make sure we're coordinated on a lot of different utilities, so.
Very good, very good. Next item, Old Highway 100 Bridge. I think that's,
No report unless Jim has anything. We're just kind of, I don't know.
It's an ongoing
Yeah.
conversation. Our engineer, we're putting together some prices for some of the different options, bike lanes, wider pavement profile than what we had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So that is ongoing.
yeah, I think that's about as far as we can go with it without, it's in process. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be done as fast as it can be, I'm sure, so everybody's aware of it. Airport,
Yes, the airport. So the last airport board meeting, we decided that we are going to go out to bid on these hangars. Our consultant's saying the first week of April is when these things will be ready to go. It's going back and forth with MoDOT right now. So we're excited about that. I guess we're somewhat optimistic that they'll come in at a reasonable price, but that's a decision in the future. If we decide to not accept the bids due to pricing, there would be, we could reject the bids. There would be an additional cost around $10,000 probably to rebid it in the future. But the board decided that it's not unreasonable to send this thing out. The concern would be is that with, again, with the infrastructure bill that's coming out, that the contracting world is just going to be so inundated with work that pricing, we do not feel like is going to necessarily be going down. But again, if you recall, the strategy there was to get it to be stabilized. At least we would know where things were at to try to limit some of those bidding risks. And I think we have kind of met that. Excuse me. In addition, I know Commissioner Brinker brought up that there was some additional monies potentially coming to airports. And we did hear that that could be the case. We get $150,000 right now per year that we can bank, up to $450,000. So you can only bank so much before it starts to fall off. It's called our entitlement funding. That's what we get fund for today. What we're being told is those monies will be doubled, they think, over the next 5 years. So we'll get approximately $300,000 for the next 5 years. Have not been told that specifically, but that's what the rumor is. In addition, there's some additional grant opportunities for terminals and those type of things. And I'm working with our, our consultant to put together some applications to look at the feasibility of going after some of those grants as well. So they're putting together that application now. I'd hope to have something maybe at the next meeting on, is that something that we can go after and get? Does that make sense? What does that look like? Our airport layout plan does show an upgraded terminal. So just how much monies can we get? Is it something that we want to pursue?
very good.
So there's a lot kind of moving over at the airport. As far as operations go, they're getting ready to get grass cutting up and running. Pretty standard run-of-the-mill things. We got all the lighting, I think, updated. We're working with getting the North Arrow Monument at the AWAS system reestablished. Our renter over there hit it with a plow, so we just got to get that reestablished. Some minor maintenance items, but other than that, things are moving. The main terminal hangar, our renter that is over there, which is the mechanic, he actually informed us that he's not going to be renewing his lease. So we have a proposal put together for that hangar. It is a It has an opportunity for 3 different spaces. It's HVAC, I mean, it's all climate controlled, those type of things. So we're going to put a proposal out to see if we get anybody to come in. Ideally, it would be another mechanic. I don't know if that's going to happen. But there's going to be some space freed up over there that we're going to try to solicit to get the right use in that building. So, kind of a lot of things moving, really.
What's the fuel truck update?
Yeah, the fuel truck, yeah. So just approved the freight charges to get that thing brought in. It can only go 45 miles an hour, so we have to freight that thing back. So they're coordinating on that. We're hoping, I mean, we've been saying this for a month now, but we're hoping to have that here soon. They told us middle March, middle of March, so we're kind of already a little behind on that. But it's coming, it's just parts and everything else, so.
Have you looked at a need to extend the length of the runway?
Yeah, so on the airport layout plan, there is an extension of 10%, 500 feet. And we've not looked at the need as a priority right now, but it is on that airport layout plan into the future. So, depending on what this grant kind of looks like with this transportation money, I mean, that could be a possibility. But again, they're evaluating what is that money supposed to be used for.
There are planes that can't come in if you've got a 5,000-foot runway is just almost enough.
Almost, yeah.
But if the runway is wet, a lot of the planes can't come in. They need 5,300 feet or at least ones that I'm familiar with.
That would seem to be that it would be a good project with this additional entitlement funding potentially that we could look into. Another thing we need to be thinking about on the horizon is those pavement design lives are 20, 25 years old. They're approaching what the design life is of that pavement. CMT has made us aware of that. That airport's not new anymore. You think it's new, but it's not. It's 2005. So, I mean, you're approaching 20 years here in the next 3 years, which is the pavement design life. So, not saying that there's an issue with the pavement because we're doing maintenance on it, but just we got to be kind of cognizant of that as we look into 2030, that we got to be aware of those sort of things. So, just macro issues.
Yes. Regarding aviation, or airports, whatever, the Freightways organization down in St. Louis, there's a lot of activity now at what they're calling the St. Louis City Airport. That's the east side, over on the east side, parks and whatever. But there's lots of activity happening there, a lot of money being spent there to develop that into a major center of they're even calling it the St. Louis City Airport, not, Lambert's still going to be Lambert, I guess, but there's going to be that airport's being expanded, lots of money. Lots of freight dollars being spent for railroad. Amazing how much money is being spent on the railroad system for the movement of goods and services. In fact, the barge traffic, the activity that's happening on the river, lots of people looking at that being another highway, major highway. They call it the first highway. I mean, big monies are being spent there. Maybe big monies. The highway system is expanding from on the north part of like 270 and that area. That's all being expanded to the west, to 4 or 5 lanes. I think probably you guys know it from Warren County what's happening up there. But they're getting the money and they're getting the funding. I mean, that's what's so amazing. I mean, it's as though there's no shortage of federal monies coming for the movement of goods and services, transport or whatever, rail. Just something to stay aware of. Freightways, I think, is doing a great job. Mary Lamy is the lady who actually runs that organization. And they got their finger on the pulse. They know what's going on, and they're getting the monies. And they've got I was reading in the paper about Union having a freight, something to do with freight. Jim, maybe you know movement of freight with the rail. Is there something with rail happening in Union?
Yeah.
That rail got sold.
Yes, that's what it
Well,
was.
that's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm just wondering if the Freightways is even aware of that what's going on around Union for the movement of freight. I mean, Tim, I don't know who to even talk to. You probably, I mean, to see if there's anything that, tie that in with Mary Lamy's freight ways thing and see what happens. It's a rail system, probably the only rail system in Franklin County, correct?
Well, outside of that, before we got there,
Well, that's, yeah, Team Track.
it's really relatively similar in terms of accessing the community with rail service.
I'm just throwing it out there.
That ownership change is gonna do that perspective for future forever.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just saw, the first time I've ever seen anything about rail.
Can you talk about cost benefit analysis, is it worth having rail into that area for that house?
Well, all I'm looking at is if people are looking for rail service, to the west, I don't know if anybody knows it's even there for opportunities, that's all. Anyway.
But they are a rail, freight type organization.
That's my understanding.
His understanding
What
is,
else they do.
That's what
yeah, it's tied to
That's what I
the-
thought,
to the
too.
system in St.
I thought-
Louis, correct?
I thought it was like only like 28 I mean, it's not a very big section. 28 miles,
But it
maybe?
goes all the way to St. Louis, correct?
Yeah, I don't think it was that.
Not,
Well, that probably is not too far off, but I don't think it was that much. But again,
I
I'm
didn't think it was
I'm
that
reading what
much
I'm seeing in the
either. I
paper.
was
I'm
just-
going to
I was just surprised if there was anything
Yeah.
in the movement of freight happening. And maybe it's not even freight, maybe it's junk or whatever, I don't know. Just an idea.
Yeah, I'm going to get it.
Did we get through Team Track, East-West Parkway?
Yes, well, back to the team track,
Team
real
track,
quick.
there you
Yeah, so there's access to rail in Washington. You can use it however you see fit. It's a pretty nice piece of infrastructure. We like to utilize it as much as we can, so, anyway. Okay, East-West Parkway. So, yeah, there's some things moving there. Let me jump around here. So, city staff's been working on this for well over a year now, to extend High Street, which is again an extension of this East-West Parkway, to the Marquardt Farm. The Marquardt Farm is, if you look at my cursor, well, here, hold on, sorry, I should have had all this ready. Let's do this. This is the Marquardt Farm boundary, right here, okay? This is city limits to the north. Everything to the south is not in city limits. So part of the city's comprehensive plan, which I'll jump around on you a little bit here, if you go down to 13, right here, this is High Street, this is Autumn Leaf subdivision, okay, 13. Autumn Leaf subdivision, High Street to the south. So one of the things on the city's comp plan was to get this connection made. Why is that important? Well, it's important because Autumn Leaf doesn't have secondary access coming in. A year, 2 years, probably 2 years ago now, there was actually a fire at the very entrance into Autumn Leaf subdivision that stopped people from getting in and out for a couple hours. People could not get into the subdivision, could not get home, people could not leave due to the fire department working that fire. In addition, there's been some issues with some water service pressure and whatnot that we've had some that were issues with our ISO score, those type of things. So we've been looking at ways to get this extended for quite some time. There's a pretty large culvert that'll have to go in right here, okay? Right here at this intersection, you can see these contours, these grades, things are pretty steep. So long story short, we worked with the developer who owns the property, which is Big Elm LLC, to come up with a development agreement to get this thing built to the Marquardt Farm. It would essentially stub to the Marquardt Farm. The developer then would be required, as part of that development agreement, to make that connection. The other thing that the city gets out of this is we get access control. So part of that development agreement is that the developer and anyone into the future can't put residential driveways onto High Street. Again, we don't currently have that in our code requirements today, so we have to negotiate that into the deal. It's a really good component to this agreement. But this is slated to get constructed as fast as we can get it done. City Council will be reviewing a design contract with Wonderlic Survey and Engineering at the next City Council meeting to design this. They're actually doing the developer work as well, so coordination is vitally important on these grades because there's not a lot of tolerances when it comes to these grades. And we're excited about this project. Like I said, it gets access to the next farm to the south, and then it provides that secondary access out of the Autumn Leaf subdivision, which again would hopefully relieve some of the traffic at Studerman and Highway A, which then would also has the potential to alleviate some of the traffic at Highway A and 100. It just spreads that traffic out through those signalized intersections. So that's a pretty big development as far as East-West Parkway goes. In addition, we hit on that EDA grant with MoDOT with 47 to the Parkway on the east side. Hit on that earlier this meeting. So again, we're recognizing the importance of that parkway and doing what we can to kind of spur these things and get these things moving. So, any questions?
I think it's great. I think it's great.
Where's Parkway stub into 47 again?
It is, I'll swing around here, it's approximately, I don't know, 3/4 to 1 mile south of Studerman.
South of Studerman.
Yeah, so,
River Drive?
oh, you're saying 47?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're right. 47, south of Studerman. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So up the hill.
Yeah, up the hill, kind of on your way. It's probably in between where the First Choice Facilities is, where Trinera used to be.
Okay.
About halfway down from city limits would be the best.
The property's been for sale on both sides of the.
Yeah. Just trying to get you to,
Clay Cam?
Yeah, I'm just trying to visualize.
yeah, that's what I'm trying. So. And those funds to be utilized, Transportation Sales Tax Fund is what we're looking at utilizing. This is not a grant project. It'll be funded locally to get this done. And again, water line construction, all these other supplementary things to get this kind of spurred moving, so.
And John, that potential tie-in with Highway 47 also helps design what's going to happen between Washington and Union.
It does, and that's where the coordination comes in with MoDOT and the county and everyone else, is to make sure that that corridor is put in the way that the end result was going to be, which we've always envisioned it, I believe, that would be somewhat of a, 2 lanes potentially with a, I don't know if it would be a grass median through there per se, but those are the discussions that we have to get done,
Yeah, that's good.
or that have to be completed, sorry.
Yeah.
So.
I was looking at that this morning. Can you zoom out on that to where we can see
Yeah.
Highway A and 47 and?
Out on the comp plan or on
Probably
this?
on the USGS, but there's like 125 houses down there in that subdivision where there's probably quite a few of them go to the industrial park. So I would
Yes.
anticipate a big increase in traffic at the intersection of High Street and Highway 100. In fact, if I were going to St. Louis and I lived down there in the valley, I'd go out High Street and take a right rather than trying to take a left onto Highway A and then deal with the intersection of A and 47, so.
That's what we're anticipating.
There'll be 120 houses will have an option that didn't before, and then, as he said, it's no longer a one-way in and out subdivision, so that's a good thing.
And if you recall as well, another way to get access control, when the Casey's development went in at that intersection, it's full access off of High Street, but we did not want to happen what happened at Phoenix Center Drive and Rabbit Trail, if you kind of, that kind of mess at times. So the city was able to strike a deal with them that they essentially put in escrow dollars to put in, make that right in, right out. So that's a way, again, that as the traffic increases on High Street at the Casey's development, we can limit access then to right in, right out on the High Street. So if you were, the full access would be Don Avenue. So just some things that we're trying to do to be ahead of these things rather than play from behind.
The developer have significant issues with no stubs coming off that parkway?
No, I mean, it's all part of the agreement, so no, it's all.
Okay.
I mean, they're getting a 40-foot road built.
Yeah.
On, with transportation sales tax, so I don't believe they would have an issue. This culvert has the potential to be 150 foot long. I mean, that's not a small.
Yeah, it's a big.
That's not a small,
And typically, when that
Infrastructure.
happens, what you're doing is you can break access, but the city would typically only break access for another city street. So it's not a private driveway where somebody's backing out onto the street to go. It ends up being an intersection of a public street, and that's good for the development as well. because then you can use that as a reliever-type corridor, which it's designed to be.
We would also consider, like, you know, if there was a commercial access or some large, you know, there's been some talk about, this is still zone senior development, you know, senior development. So, you know, if there's a specific driveway access that would serve a larger parking lot, I mean, that would be a consideration. It's the driveways that you see, like you see here on Aniston, that are just stacked up is the concern that we have. Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to public transportation. Did I miss anything here? Any other business?
I'd like to
Sandy?
say something.
Yes, please.
I apologize for being late, and I think I missed the last meeting. My mom's been in and out of the hospital, so she's with us. And it is hard to get out of the house when there's another person in there. I've learned, I have a new respect for mothers. Anyway, first of all, I want to thank you all for your dedication and your efforts here on the transportation. This is my last one. And it's been a great ride for me. I'm sorry. It's been a wonderful ride for me, and I have loved every day of it, even on an off day, I loved it. I would wake up the next morning and think I was the luckiest person in the world to be able to be the mayor of the city of Washington. So beyond that, I sit here and listen to all of our discussion this morning about future transportation. And, you know, Washington has always been very, very interested in transportation. And when I think about how we had the opportunity with MoDOT to increase Highway 100 to 4 lanes, and Mayor Stratman came forward and did the half-cent transportation tax, and of course our voters approved that and started the process on that. And today that transportation tax is still there. Obviously our sales have increased. So we have money now to help developers develop some of these roads and things like that. I mean, we can locally fund some things, and it's just, thank you to you all for being part of the team and for being part of the vision. And I think if there's anything that I'm incredibly proud of in Washington is the vision that this community has always had, to look forward, to see what we need. We do it in industrial development, we do it in transportation, we do it talking about the airport. There's just so many areas where we have great vision in this community, and you all are part of that vision. So thank you for your service, and I know you sit on numerous boards, and you are what makes Washington what it is. And my heart will always be here, and and our team here at City Hall is still here, and I think you recognize that they often think outside the box and try to figure out ways to accomplish things and get things done. So I just wanted to say my final comments to you or whatever, and thank you once again for your dedication to our community. It's the people in this community who make it what it is, and you are all part of that. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Steve.
Only thing that I've got is there's a list of the monies that we've received so far this year, and the half-cent transportation sales tax is up 9% for the year to date. That's great. Think about it. And it's growing. Not only is the tax important to us, but it's also increasing as we go. And I think we've got 10 years left of the 25 years.
2030.
2030.
Yes, sir.
So it's 8 years. It was a 25-year tax, that's correct. Can be renewed, right? Okay. Very good, thank you. Anyway, anything else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you all.
Second.
A motion to adjourn, all in favor, aye. Aye. Thank you all. Thank you, Sandy.
Joe, you, me, and Sal here. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. Well, did I invite Tim? I don't think I did.